Hey, solos. So I had a completely different plan for like a bonus episode for today, but I had a conversation with somebody on Instagram and it was just such a great conversation that I moved some things around so I could feature our conversation. So, hi everyone, I'm Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do. And welcome to Solo Magic, the podcast about the magic of going to Disney World solo. In this podcast, I like to focus on stories and tips and tricks and information about planning the most magical Disney vacation ever. And it's been really wonderful to be on Instagram and see other content creators. And when I came across Disney Bound Solo, and that is who I'm going to be talking to today, I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting because it's about Disney bounding. It's also about solo travel. And she just like seemed like such a wonderful, warm person to talk to. And I'm so glad we got to talk. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about all things traveling to Disney solo, Disney bounding. If you've never done it before or want some help, Laura definitely would like to help you. And about like the community that you can create online in the parks by going to Disney World solo and then connecting with others who have similar interests and have similar desires for going to Disney and being able to be around the magic, be around storytelling, be around a place where all your dreams can come true. So please make sure that you follow Disney Bound Solo. The link to her Instagram and TikTok is in the detailed notes for this show. But please make sure you also follow me on Instagram, Disney_magic_solo. And please subscribe to this podcast. Please rate it. It's a new podcast. So the more you can share it around and let people know about it, the better. And let's just get right on into it. Hi, Laura. It's so nice to meet you over Zoom. I'm really excited for this conversation.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I was telling you when we connected on Instagram that I was wanted to really reach out to people that are doing Disney bounding solo, and the fact that this is in your title is really exciting. But before we get into it, why don't you like introduce yourself and like talk about your journey about getting to Disney and doing solo content?
Sure. So, my name's Laura. I'm 34 years old. I'm from the greater New York City area. I have been a lifelong Disney fan, but I didn't really start going to Disney until much later in my life. My first trip was at 24 years old. And Disney was always something that I loved growing up, but it wasn't necessarily something that my family could afford to do as far as a family vacation. So, in adulthood, I took on the challenge of affording it myself, and I'm so happy to say that I've been able to make that dream possible through solo travel because it's not always easy to get people to come to Disney with you, especially with how often I go. People might not be major Disney fans, or it's just something that's an expense they're not really willing to take on. They have other travel plans. So I said, you know what? If people can't come with me, why not just start embarking on these solo adventures by myself? So that's really how I got started on my solo Disney journey.
So the first trip you took as an adult, was it solo?
It actually wasn't. It was with my boyfriend at the time's family. We just did Magic Kingdom, so I got a little bit of a taste and I was immediately hooked. But my first solo trip was actually in 2020, just after the restrictions got lifted from the pandemic. And I was sort of in a bit of a soul searching mode. I had just ended a really long relationship that was a little toxic and not so great. And a lot of our time together was actually spent at Disney. So I wanted to reclaim it and make it fun for myself again. And that is another big part of why this journey started.
Yeah, I love that so much. It's, I was just having a conversation with a friend today and they were like, "Oh, you're going back?" And I just find that it's actually a place that can be so therapeutic, right? Like it can work through a lot of different issues, whether that's a toxic relationship or whether that just is feeling kind of stuck in your life. There's a lot of stuff that can kind of get like unearthed when you're there, especially when you're by yourself. And because it's so safe, like it's such a safe little bubble, it's a really like good place to kind of explore that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. For me, Disney is all about dreams coming true and it's about storytelling. So, what better way to rewrite your own story and make your own dreams come true than by going to Disney all by yourself? It's really like a fun little solo adventure.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's for me, Disney is about like magic and happiness and like colorful storytelling, right? And so
Hmm.
when you're there, it's like, oh yeah, you don't need to worry about like the stresses of work or the stresses of this. You can just be like, what is it like to live just in magic, where everyone is like pointing towards the same goal of like happiness and magic and
Hmm.
making your dreams come true.
Yeah, just being there, being happy to be there, having a great time. Like you mentioned, it's such a safe and warm and familiar environment, which is another reason why I'm so drawn to it as a solo traveler. I never really truly feel alone, whether
Yeah.
it's, having a lot in common with other guests that are there or even having amazing conversations with cast members. All of that just contributes to having an amazing time and really not focusing on the fact that you're by yourself.
No, and I find too when you're there and someone will be like, "Oh, are you there here with someone else?" And I'll be like, "No." And they're like, "Oh my God, that's probably better." And I was like, "Yeah, have fun
Way
with your
better.
kids."
Yes. You
Yeah.
can do whatever you want whenever you want. You can kind of march to the beat of your own drum. If I decide last minute that I want to grab a dining reservation, I don't have to worry about who wants to go or who doesn't want to go. It's just
Yeah.
me and I have a great time.
Yeah, no, that's really fantastic. I also started going by myself or having solo parts of adult vacations at Disney right after the pandemic. And it's because I went right before COVID, like February 2020. And I was like, "Oh, this is fun. We're definitely going to do this more as an adult." And then, like, the period where it's the lockdown, I was like, all I want to do is just be surrounded in that magic. And yeah, especially like I have a lot of friends with kids. So they're like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to go without my kids." Well, that's your problem.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like people that don't really get it don't really understand how much there can be there. And I just find like I've talked about this in a couple episodes that my nervous system always just like ooh relaxes as soon as I arrive in Orlando.
Yeah. I think the most common question I get from people when they ask me about going to Disney solo is, don't you get bored? Aren't you worried what people will think of you? Isn't it awkward to sit by yourself and eat dinner? And the answer to all of those questions is no.
Yeah.
Once you're
Okay.
there, any sort of anxiety or weird feeling that you might have about it completely melts away. And that's not to say that there aren't moments where I feel like I would have fun with other people there. Like, for example, on Toy Story Mania, I'm very competitive. So when I'm only competing against myself, it's not as fun as it could be. But no matter what, you're in Disney, right?
Yeah.
So it's better beats being at home, that's for sure.
It certainly does. Yeah, no, I agree. There's times where I would be like, "Oh, it would be nice to share this particular moment." But then if you're sharing that moment or that experience with someone that doesn't really get it anyway, that's so much extra work to be like, "Oh, do you know why
Mhm.
this is special?" "Oh, you don't." "Oh, all right, that's great."
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you go to Disney and you do Disney bounding. Do you want to like explain that before I ask you questions about it?
Sure. So Disney bounding is dressing up in outfits that are inspired by your favorite Disney characters. So my Instagram name is really like a play on words. It's Disney bound, as in that is the destination that I am heading to, and Disney bounding, as in I am dressing up inspired by my favorite characters, all solo by myself. Um, so yeah, that's another big thing that I really love about traveling to Disney is expressing my love for those characters through what I'm wearing.
And so um do you find that there's any extra like level of awkwardness doing that by yourself? Now, I don't think that there would be, but I am just like I want you to like talk about that a little bit because I feel like there are people that are interested in going to Disney solo and go to Disney solo but aren't quite sure about Disney bounding, but I think especially through your Instagram account, like you demonstrate how much fun it can be.
So for me, like, it doesn't really bother me at all. I typically in my day-to-day life dress a little bit, I don't know, I guess out of the scope of what some people might think of as normal. So dressing up inspired by characters isn't necessarily too off base from my normal wardrobe. And I also think it is definitely possible to integrate pieces within your existing wardrobe that sort of lean towards a more character inspired look. So for me, it's all about the color blocking, right? I might not go and buy something that has like a big Mickey face on it, But Mickey's colors are black, white, and red. And I definitely have, oh, and yellow. Yeah, and yellow. And I definitely have those colors within my wardrobe. So if I can just pull those pieces from things that I'm comfortable wearing, that I'm wearing in my everyday life, and just sort of add some accessories that make it really clear, hey, this is Mickey Mouse, that's the easiest and most comfortable way to do it.
I think that's a really great tip for people to think about it and even then to practice at home before going to the parks. I
Mhm.
like when I am getting my costumes, no, they're not costumes, they're regular, normal people outfits for Disney.
Mhm.
I always just like bump it up, like my normal aesthetics. I just bump it up a little bit more. And I find that because it's such a welcoming place, that it's so much fun to be able to like try it out and just like see what that's like, just to dial up your normal kind of outfits. And I think it is, especially for people who might not be comfortable with like taking more fashion risks, that it's such a like great place to do that. So it's really cool that you had already thought about bringing that into your normal wardrobe, as well as making sure that when you are there, it's even more, and that the cast members can take your picture and you have photo pass, and it really gets captured.
Yeah, and honestly, to anybody out there who is a little bit hesitant and you're not quite sure how you would make Disney bounding work for you, if the reason that you're hesitant is because you're worried about what other people are thinking, or, you're not super comfortable, you're afraid a lot of eyes will be on you, I promise you, everybody is so concerned with themselves, they're not paying attention to you, number 1. And number 2, there's gonna be so many other people around the parks doing exactly what you're doing and celebrating the fact that you're doing it alongside them. So don't be nervous. There's a reason there's an entire Disney bounding community that exists. You
Yeah.
will find your people.
Yeah, and also like people actually might be looking at you, and in my experience, it's usually like you get a compliment or a smile, like people
Yes,
acknowledge that, and that's so nice. Like most of the time that doesn't happen in daily life, right?
for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I just did an orange bird bound in my last trip, and the amount of people that came up to me and just said, "Oh my God, your outfit, it's so joyful. You totally made my day." That is worth it for me. I don't care how many other people might have looked at me and said, "That girl's a little weird. Why is she dressing like that? She's a grown woman." If I'm bringing joy and sunshine to people and it's making me happy, that's all that really matters to me. Everybody else can just go worry about themselves.
I know, I totally agree. The last time I was there, I had an orange purse, like it looked like an orange, and
Like it's a
so
fruit. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it was so cute, and I got so many compliments, and I was eating dinner at a restaurant, and the cast member's like, "I just assume you're an annual pass member because of the
Mhm.
purse. Like, I just
Yes.
assume you're not making those choices here if you're not already prepared." And I was like, "Yeah, no, you're totally right. Thank you."
Yes. Yeah, I've had some cast members think that I was a cast member as well, just based on the way that I dress up like characters all the time. No, but I do have an annual pass, so I'm here enough.
Yeah, and if you wanna give me a job, that'd be great. Super. I
Sure,
can,
yeah.
yeah, and help relocate me, etcetera, etcetera. Yeah.
Yeah,
So do you have a
sign me
favorite
up.
Disney bound?
Ooh, I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, I have favorite characters. The best answer to that question is my favorite Disney bound is the next one, the one that I'm
Yeah.
planning, because I have so much fun planning and putting these outfits together and creating lookbooks. And I even love to do it for other people too. It's a nice little hobby of mine. I have a
Yeah.
ton of fun doing it.
Yeah, and it is kind of rare that you can find these creative hobbies that really get appreciated on a larger level, and that you're contributing something on a larger level. Like I find even when I do kind of creative pursuits and it's just at home, it just feels like at home, right? When you get to experiment with your clothes and your accessories, it's something that you get to share with others.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, just thinking back to one that I did recently, I did a white rabbit bound from
Fun.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, when I plan my bounds, I usually start off with one central piece. So for me, it was these really cute ears from Shanghai Disney. I'm going to grab them and show them to you really
Okay, great.
quickly.
Oh my
Right.
gosh, so cute. Have you been
And
to Shanghai Disney?
I have not. It's
Yeah.
on the bucket list,
Yes,
definitely on
yes.
the bucket list for sure. But I just saw these ears online. You can even sort of
Amazing.
push them back and forth, and maybe you want one ear up, one ear down. So the minute I saw these ears and I knew I was traveling around Valentine's Day, I said to myself, okay, we're doing a white rabbit inspired look.
Totally, totally.
Um, the one thing that was not so great about that is you can't meet the white rabbit in the parks. At least not at
Yeah.
Disney World.
Except at the Halloween party.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Yeah, there's those rare instances where you get to
Yeah.
meet some rare characters. Maybe I could actually repurpose this bound then and wear it for Halloween next year when I go to Not So Scary.
You know what? I have also said that, and then I'll just buy another outfit.
Buy a new one. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, no, definitely I'll do this again, but also I can do something different again. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just because it's so fun. It lets you like flex those creative muscles.
Yeah, no, totally. And again, there isn't so many opportunities in your day-to-day life when you can be like outlandish and fun like that, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah. I have this whole section in my closet now, which is just Disney travel outfits. And there's times I'll look at it, or like if I'm at Shop Disney or one of the stores, and I'm like, well, yeah, I can definitely wear that in my regular life. And I was like, no, there's like giant Encanto characters. There's no way I'm showing up to anything that's not a child's birthday party without wearing
Yeah.
this. And then I'll be at Disney. I was like, but I can wear it here. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, most
So, do you
definitely.
have
And
any tips for people who are traveling solo, whether or not they want to bound or not, like in terms of like hotels or restaurants or even just like planning a day?
yeah, so for me, I always like to stay on site in the Disney bubble. I just feel a lot safer that
Yeah,
way. And having the built-in transportation is really, really, it puts my mind at ease to know that I'll
totally.
always have a built-in way to get from point A to point B. So definitely staying on site. There's a huge safety perk when it comes to traveling solo and doing that. I'm also very careful about what information I choose to share on social media, right? So I'm not really outwardly saying exactly where I'm staying until I've already left. I delay my stories. I'm not posting live because I didn't want anybody to know exactly where I was at any moment. I'm also kind of careful about saying when I'm traveling alone because I'm not always traveling solo. So I leave it up to a little bit of a mystery. Am I by myself? Do I have people with me? Just again, for those safety concerns, you never know. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Can I
You
just
know,
say
the
one
perks,
thing? Sorry, can I just say one thing
sure,
about safety before you talk about the fun? It's
absolutely.
interesting because like all of those things are so important, and everyone should do them obviously, but I also find that like in comparison to any other travel I've done, safety at Disney is like not a huge concern. Like there are things that you do because you know they're safe to do, but it's not like the situation is one in which you feel like you need to do other precautions. Do you feel that too?
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, you see a lot of solo travel content around, here's everything you should do in your hotel room to make sure
Yeah.
that nobody's going to break in. That's not even a thought that crosses my mind when I'm
Yeah.
at Disney. You know, they even do periodic safety checks of your room just to make sure that everything is above board and looking good.
Yeah.
So knowing that gives me a ton of peace of mind. I have never once felt unsafe at Disney.
I know, right? And I'm single. When I travel alone to other places, I'll sometimes wear like a fake wedding ring to just be like, oh, don't
hmm
worry, there's someone big and burly that can beat you up. I don't know, right? Like it's just
Yes.
patriarchy, right?
Yep. Oh,
But
yeah.
like that's never even like remotely a consideration. And so it's funny because whenever people like ask about safety in the like solo Disney groups, it's like, oh, right, yeah, no, of course, think about it, but not
Mhm.
here as much.
You're definitely right. It's not the kind of place where it's something that you have to be actively concerned about, but definitely something that you should passively consider.
For sure,
Just,
definitely.
general smarts about traveling, especially when alone. And being at Disney, you're already going to be pretty safe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I just wanted to like emphasize that extra point because I think it's important to like, yes, definitely, like you said, passively do the things that you want to do, but you don't need to be as on alert as you would be if you do other travel.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, you were also going to talk about having fun.
Yeah, so having fun at Disney by yourself, do the same things you would do to have fun when you're there with friends. Everybody is doing their own thing. Everybody is on their own schedule and on their own time. Nobody is glaring at you, staring at you, or even noticing what you're doing, honestly. Ride all of the rides. Some rides even have single rider lines, so you're
Yeah.
going to get through that queue much quicker than you were being on standby. Um, don't be afraid to get that hard to snag dinner reservation because you just went up and got a seat at the bar and you ate at the bar by yourself. You don't have to worry about trying to get a reservation for 4 to 6 people. That's much harder to get. Talk to your neighbors, your seatmates, talk to the cast members. They're all so lovely and so happy to see you. You never really truly feel alone
No.
when you're at
N-
Disney.
No, it really does feel like a community. And one of the things I've said in other episodes is like, you know, when you're staying in the Disney bubble, the cast members like want you to be there and have an amazing time. It's not like you have to be like, oh, I'm just randomly here for a conference and thought I would just pop into Disney. They're like, oh, have you been to Magic Kingdom? Have you ridden Tron? Have you tried this? Have you saw any characters? And so to like have everyone share that same thing is just so great, especially
Yeah,
when you're by yourself.
absolutely.
Do you have any bounds coming up or any like pieces of bounds coming up that you wanted to tease, I should say, rather than
Yes.
share?
Yes. So I have been really loving new emos lately,
Mm,
and the Tangled and Ariel new emos just came back in stock on Shop Disney recently.
danger.
So I always start with one piece. So in this case, it's those new emos. And I'm going to be planning a Ariel and Rapunzel bound for May and June, as long as timing and getting all of the pieces works out. I might have to push the time back a little bit, but those are the next ones coming up.
That's really fun. That's really fun, and that you're like extending it not just like the regular look of the characters, but to be able to bring in these other pieces. That's exciting. I can't wait to like follow on Instagram to be able to see those.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. Another thing that I really love to do to put these bounds together, if I know for a fact that I probably won't be wearing something outside of going to Disney, I've actually been using clothing rental services and
Ooh.
putting like they let you put like closet lists together. So I'll have my Ariel Disney bound list, my Rapunzel Disney bound list, and every time a new item pops up that I think would go really well with the look and the feel of that character, I just add it to the list to potentially rent it for when I'm ready to actually do that bound in the parks. So
That is
that's
such a
been
great idea.
yeah, it's been really helpful. It's cutting down on all the waste of ordering fast fashion for items that I probably can't return or that I won't be wearing later. And a lot of them do give you the option to buy it after you rent it. So if it's a piece that I really love and I feel super comfortable in, and I can see easily being able to integrate that into my wardrobe, I have that option to keep it. So it's been
That's
a win-win
awesome.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's totally a win-win. Do you ever do like clothing exchanges with other people that do Disney bounds?
I haven't, but does that exist? Because that's kind of genius. I would
Well,
love to do that.
I mean, I feel like it has to exist because so I am going to Dapper Day. I'm really excited for that. And there's a lot of bounding elements on that. And the way I learned about the Facebook groups devoted to Dapper Day is this guy on a bus was telling me about this outfit he put together for his wife. And then he pulled up the Facebook group about all these like dress exchanges and like
I love
yeah,
that.
so I can't imagine that there wouldn't be communities of people that do exchanges for Disney bounds.
I love that. I'm definitely going to do some research into
Okay.
that
All
and
right.
find those people. And to that point, you were just on the bus and you struck up a conversation with another guest
Yes.
and you found a Disney bounding community. Like that is the magic of solo travel. You're just around
100%.
all of these people, you're having conversations, it's leading you to your next Disney adventure. It's like a choose your own adventure when you solo travel to Disney.
No, it's totally like that because I love how one of your pieces of advice was like ride all the rides because my solo advice is like don't ride any rides.
Mhm.
Like you like don't feel like you need to wait in line if you don't want to wait in line. Like just go and eat and relax and enjoy all these things. Like it can be so hectic and if rides aren't your thing, then there's so many other things to do. And it is really like choose your own adventure. I think that's a really great way to say it. Do you have a favorite park?
Ooh.
Because I find that
Um,
that really dictates the choose your own adventure element too. And so sometimes I'll be like, okay, well, this afternoon I'll go to this park because these are the things I want to get from my day.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite park, it's cliche, but it's Magic Kingdom, and it is
Yeah.
specifically Main Street USA in the morning.
Yeah.
So a lot of people want a rope drop to go ride a ride. I like to rope drop the vibes. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go straight to the Main Street Bakery. I'm gonna grab an iced coffee. I'm gonna walk down to the Hub Grass and I'm just gonna sit, relax, take it all in, do some shopping on Main Street. That is my ultimate favorite thing to do in
Yeah.
Disney, solo or not. I will drag my friends to do that as well. I don't care if you want to ride mine train. We're getting coffee and we're chilling.
Yeah. No, totally. That's it. That is such a vibe. That's like
Yeah,
the best vibes. Yeah. 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 I go a lot for weekends just at Epcot. And I have said in the episode on Epcot, like you go for rides, food, or vibes. And
hmm,
like there are so many things that you can just do just sitting and enjoying at Epcot. And if anyone wanted to go that were just focused on rides, I'd be like, oh, you're gonna need to go and hang out with someone else today. Yeah. Yeah.
Epcot is the perfect park for chilling, just for like a leisurely stroll
Yeah.
around the World Showcase, just hanging out, trying different
Yeah.
snacks, different drinks, taking it all in.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Can you talk about a little bit about you as a content creator and like things about community and just how kind of started for you and what is happening with it now?
Sure. So, one of the things that has been probably the most pleasant surprise since I started this content creation Disney social media journey just at the end of last year has been how many connections and genuine friendships that I've made with women through those social media platforms. Some of us have even met up in the parks, rooms together. We text on a daily basis, either about Disney, about life. And that was honestly so surprising to me. I didn't get into this really expecting to find a community. I think in my heart of hearts, I was hoping for it, but I didn't really think it would happen so soon. And just to know that it's out there, it exists, you can create some really lasting, meaningful connections through not just the Disney bounding community specifically, but just a shared love for Disney and the Disney parks. Honestly, it's been really life changing.
That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I was saying this in one episode, I think maybe the first one where I was just talking about, solo travel. And the fact is, like, when you travel anywhere by yourself, you are now opening up the spheres of people that you can connect with that have similar interests as you, but maybe aren't like your immediate friends and family, like those types of connections. And when you see how big the world is and how many people share these interests and things that other people might find really odd, it's a really like nice salve to the soul, I think.
Absolutely. And it kind of feels like something that's just for you in a way. It's ironic. I started out on a solo journey and I ended up making way more connections and just taking the time to be with myself.
Yeah. Oh,
So
that's so beautiful. We need to like
I
make that a
know,
quote.
I know. So if being solo is something that you're scared of because you think that it will equate to loneliness, in my experience, and it sounds like in your experience, it's had the exact opposite effect, which is really, really rewarding.
Yeah, and there's so few opportunities just maybe in daily life where you can really like connect with yourself and get to know yourself. And if you are doing that while traveling to a place like Disney that has all these built-in communities, it's so much nicer to be like, "Oh yeah, like these parts of myself can connect with others as well."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly right.
Well, Laura, this has been so wonderful. Is there anything else you want to like share in this episode before we say goodbye?
I mean, if you guys want to see more content all about solo Disney travel, planning your Disney bounds, make sure to follow me on socials. I'm more
Yeah.
than happy to connect with you and even help you plan some Disney bounds. It's one of my favorite things to do. So if you
Oh
need
my
help
gosh,
putting together the perfect look, let me know.
yeah, no, I love that. I love that people can like, contact you and you can be like, "Let's brainstorm together." Do you want to say your Instagram and TikTok name for everyone?
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram at DisneyBoundSolo. No spaces, no underscores, just all one word. And then you can find me on TikTok at DisneyBound.solo.
And you know what I liked about your content, because actually I realized that I had seen some of your reels before I like clued into your name, is that the content on your Instagram page, and I assume it's the same on TikTok, is not just about solo travel and it's not just about bounding, but it's really a nice kind of overview about your takes on so many different elements and being an annual pass holder and going to the festivals. And so it's a really kind of nice, diverse content that I think is really great for so many people, even if they're not quite ready to Disney bound yet.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I definitely work really hard to try and make it well-rounded, but all through the lens of my experience as a solo traveler with an annual pass, if that makes sense, who also just loves Disney and wants to dress up like those characters she loves so much. So,
Yeah, no, I
glad,
totally get it.
yeah, glad to know that I'm hitting all those marks.
Yeah, and always think that your reels are like really like tight and clean and well thought out. And so it's always nice to be able, like I said, I had realized I had saw them and it was like, "Oh yeah, like look how nice and smart these are."
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much for saying that.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. Well, Laura, it's been so wonderful to connect. I really, really hope we can do more connections in the future. And maybe even solo Disney together, but solo one day.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. I would love that. I would
Yeah.
love that.
All right. Well, it was great talking with you. And until next time.
Yeah, take
Okay.
care.
Bye. Hey Solos, I hope you enjoyed listening to that as much as we enjoyed recording it. It was just so wonderful to connect, so wonderful to hear other people's passions. And again, please join us. Make sure you're following her, make sure you're following me so you can join us in this community. Let us know who you are if you need a Disney bound or if you are planning your solo trip or you do solo trips and you want to also share the magic. Please let me know. Again, our links to our Instagram handles are in the details of this episode as well as the link to Laura's TikTok as well. Now, next week, I'm going to continue the series of talking about different tips and tricks and stories for going to all 4 parks. So this week on Monday, I posted Magic Kingdom. Next Monday, I'm going to post Epcot. I'm going to do a bonus episode on the Flower and Garden Festival. And then I'm going to talk about Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. And then I also want to do an episode on Disney Springs. Let me know if you have some experiences with Disney Springs and want to do a bonus episode that week as well. Oh, I don't know if you hear that. That's the sound of spring in my neighborhood. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. Until next week, it was great connecting with you. Bye.